Welcome back. We're on part 16. I guess we're gonna go give it a shot. Hopefully we don't die. Hopefully we can just go in there and kill it. But, oh well, let's do it. Door is open, nobody out here. Excuse me.
Hush, little Calva. I'll soon birth thee anew, a sweeting, fresh and pure.
Come on, I was fucking away far enough.
Come, sweeting.
Okay, phase 1 over. Get ready to start phase 2.
My beloved, have no fear. I will hold thee. Patience. Ye will be countless born, forever and ever. Upon my name as Rani the Witch. Mother's rich slumber shall not be disturbed by thee. Foul trespasser. Send word far and wide. Of the last queen of Caria, Renala of the Full Moon. And the majesty of the night she conjureth. Thy fate lieth
Fucking
under my
bitch.
wing.
I hate that fucking crap. Well, if we don't find find a summons, we're gonna take and go do something different. We have other weapons and stuff that we can go look up, try to find.
But since it's a really, really great weapon with excellent stats that can be upgraded with Ashes of War, that's why I like it for Faith builds. So I like to get my Uchigatana and make it a Sacred Uchigatana by adding the Sacred Blade Ashes of War to it, and that makes it scale at a level of, get a rating of B for scaling in Faith scaling. So it makes it a very, very good weapon, especially for a build like this where you're obviously going to have a high Faith stat. So as far as attributes required to use this one, 11 for Strength, Dexterity of 15. It does cause Blood Loss buildup, which is another reason why I like to choose the Uchigatana over any other weapon that could be upgraded using Ashes of War.
Well, we're using
and it has all of
that.
the great things about Katana. Swings very fast, and like I said, has great damage. You can see the physical attack power there is 214 plus 30, so that's pretty great. And then by making it sacred, we also get a ton of holy damage on top of that. So excellent weapon to go with any faith-based build. As far as where to get this one goes, it's actually pretty easy. You can get this one very early in the game. We're in Limgrave here. You make your way up here to Death-Touched Catacombs, and I've already gone through and killed. There's basically just skeleton-type enemies in here, so nothing crazy dangerous. I've already run through and taken them out, though. But you run down past the Site of Grace, you turn left up here, go down this staircase, and then just drop off this ledge here, turn around, and go through this tunnel, then take a left here, and there'll be a body hanging off this ledge, and on the body you'll find the Uchigatana. So like I said, very easy to find pretty early in the game, not very difficult enemies to defeat in this cave, so makes it one that you should definitely pick up pretty early on any playthrough. So that's number 5, the Uchigatana. Let's move on to number 4. Alright, and so for number 4 on our faith-based melee weapons, we have the Golden Halberd. And now for attributes required to use this one, it's going to be Strength of 30,
We have that one.
Strength of 12, build. Attribute scaling, we get Faith of D, so not terrific, but it does scale with Faith, so for a Faith-based build, it's going to be stronger. Dexterity of B, and of course Strength of B. And this one comes with the Golden Bow special attack, which is just going to be a boost to your attack power and your defense, and also that of your allies within, you know, your radius. Pretty great physical attack power, and has all the benefits of halberds. Swing fast, but do really, really high damage. The only reason why I would maybe consider not doing the halberd is if your strength isn't very high. A, because it does require a strength level of 30 just to wield it and use it effectively, but B, because you're going to be using it one-handed to use it effectively with a faith-based build, unless you're planning on using your incantations and your halberd separately, so that way you can switch between them and go two-handed, because then the halberd becomes much more effective. So basically, the halberd is one that is excellent with a faith and strength build. So if you're going to put a lot of points into strength anyway, then the golden halberd is great for that. As far as where to get this one goes, it's another one that you can get early game. It's right here in Limgrave by the Church of Ela, right when you come out of the first step. You'll see a tree sentinel knight person running around here. You kill that boss, and they will drop the golden halberd. So that's how you get the golden halberd. Like I said, not perfect for every single playstyle, but it can be very, very good for strength and faith-based builds. So that's number 4. Let's move on to number 3. Alright, so for number 3 of our main hand weapons for a faith build, we have the Grafted Dragon, which is a fist-type weapon that you've probably seen. You saw my top 5.
Got that too.
Basically a little stuffed dragon that goes on your hand. As far as attributes required to use this one, strength of 20, dexterity of 14, and faith of 16. Again, it's going to scale with strength, dexterity, and faith. So another one that's going to be better the higher your faith is, and obviously those other skills. As far as just raw stats goes, it's got pretty great physical attack power just for hitting people with it, as you can see from the stat right there. And the fire is also pretty great. So this one is one that I would pair with a fire-based faith build. So as you probably know, if you've played much with faith in this game, it's best to specialize in one type of attack. I personally like lightning the best, which is why the Grafted Dragon doesn't really pair as well with mine. But if you do a fire-based faith build, which you can get really, really powerful ones, then this is a great main hand weapon for it, because it's very, very powerful, deals quite a bit of fire damage, and of course has a really cool special attack. So yeah, the
We're gonna do fire, man. Get the fucking
Grafted Dragon is definitely one that I recommend.
the dragon incantation for fire.
It's going to be another one that is actually pretty early in the game. If you make your way to Stormvale Castle and fight your way through to the boss fight for Godric the Grafted and defeat him, you will get the Remembrance of the Grafted. Then you can take that to Round Table Hold and trade it with any other finger reader for the Grafted Dragon weapon. So that's how you get it. It is a reward for boss fight, so your skill or ability to cheese, or maybe just your allies, are going to need to be powerful to get this early game. But it's definitely worth it if you want to be a fire faith-based build. So that is number 3. Let's move on to number 2. Alright, so for number 2 on our main hand weapons for our faith build, we have the Coated Sword, one of my personal favorite weapons in the game overall, and definitely one of my favorites for a faith-based build. So for this one,
I haven't gotten that one yet.
So you need 20 faith to use this one and nothing else, and it has an A scaling for faith, so it's going to be one of the best scaling weapons for a faith build, which makes sense why I like it. And you can see our holy attack power there is pretty dang high, having almost over 500 for that. So pretty great. And of course, our special attack is the Unblockable Blade, which does exactly what it sounds like. When you use it, nothing can block the damage that you deal with that. No poise, no shield, nothing. So it makes it an excellent weapon for a faith-type build. It does quite a bit of damage on its own, but it goes really, really well with powerful faith-based attacks. So yeah, that's the Coated Sword as far as stats go. As far as where to get this one, again, it's not terribly difficult, but this one's more of a mid-game weapon. So you have to have made your way up to the Altus Plateau region, and made your way around and into the capital. Once you've made your way all the way up to the West Capital ramparts, it's pretty close from there. So I'm just going to kind of zip to it, I'll show you where to go. Alright, and if memory serves, it should be right in here. So you can see that we made our way into the fortified manor, first floor of the capital. And once you get to the room with the round table, if you go up through these double doors, it should be in this room. Of course, I already picked it up on this playthrough, so I don't know exactly where, but there's not a lot in this room. So it's pretty easy to find. So that is how and where you get the Coated Sword. Like I said, one of my all-time favorite weapons in the game, but definitely one of the best ones for Faith. So let's move on to the number 1 best one for a Faith build. So here at number 1, it should come as no surprise, we have the Sword of Night and Flame, one of the best weapons for pretty much every type of build in this game, and especially for
Excuse me, every one that I listen to has their
intelligence of 24, so this one does have an intelligence requirement, and faith of 24. And so this one is going to scale scale with strength, dexterity, intelligence, and faith, but it has a B rating in faith, making it pretty good. Now this one
They
doesn't
have their
scale
own
as
freaking
well
picks
as
on
the
what they
Odin sword,
like.
but it has much higher damages other than that. So you can see we've got a pretty high physical damage, magic, and fire. Pretty great there. So again, this one's going to be one that works with any type of build and any faith build, but I like it a lot with the fire type builds. And this one, of course, has our Knight and Flame stance, which is one of the most powerful special weapon abilities in the game. You can see that if we go into our stance, we can either light attack for a powerful Comet Azure style attack, or if we heavy attack, we just do a big sweeping flame attack. And so it's pretty dang overpowered for a lot of reasons. As far as where to get this weapon goes, you're going to have to be over here in the Liurnia region and make your way up this side of the highway towards the Caria Manor. Once you make your way here, you fight up and around until you get to the Manor lower level. Once you're at the Manor lower level, you can kind of just zip. I'll show you the path here of how to get to this weapon. Once you get down into this tower here, it will be in this little chest over here, and then you can open this locked door. So that is how you get the Sword of Night and Flame. Like I said, one of the most powerful weapons in the game overall, and a really good one for faith builds. So that's the last of the melee weapons we're going to be looking at. Now I'm going to show you the top 5 best Sacred Seals. Alright, so for our first seal on the Sacred Seal list, we have the Godslayer Seal. And now obviously, it should go without saying that for these seals, some of it has to do with like an ultimately this seal is better than the other one, but a lot of it will have to do with the type of incantations you go with. And so I've kind of balanced that off into both incantation scaling, which is very, very important, but also the effectiveness of the incantation. So that's why they may not go just by incantation scaling. So with that in mind, the Godslayer Seal is the one that I consider to be the 5th best out of all the Sacred Seals. And so for this one, you can see that attributes required, 4 for strength, 27 for faith, so a slightly higher faith one, but again, if you're a faith build, that should be as high as you can get it anyway. And then for attribute scaling, faith of S.
Golden Order
so
seal.
It has an S rating for scaling for faith, so that's very, very good. And strength of D. Then for our passive effects, it boosts Godslayer incantations. So obviously, that's not the best boost in the world because the Godslayer incantations aren't the best incantations in the game. They're actually some of my least favorite to use, but it does have an incantation scaling up to 91, so that's pretty great. So yeah, the Godslayer Seal is number 5. As far as where to get this seal goes, it is, fortunately, one that you can get pretty early in the game. So once you're up here in Limgrave, once you've made your way to the Stormvale Castle, which you need to if you want your crafted dragon weapon, but you come over here to the Rampart Tower.
How the hell do we get that over there?
You go through this doorway over here, and we're going to be taking an elevator down. And then I'll just kind of zip through to show you the exact path for how to get this weapon.
Okay, we'll leave it there for now.
Solve a monster-sized problem with Miro.
And so that is how you get the Godslayer Seal. Normally there will be enemies between where I just showed you, but I cleared them up before doing that. Pretty easy to get early in the game, especially if you're already in Stormvale Castle. It makes sense to stop by and get this, because it is a pretty good Sacred Seal. So that's number 5. Let's move on to number 4. Alright, for our second Sacred Seal on this list, the one that comes in at number 4, we have the Dragon Communion Seal. And now, attributes required to use this one, it's going to be Faith of 10 and Arcane of 10, so this one has a lower faith requirement, but it does require
Golden Order
and,
Seal
for
is number
effects,
3 on his list.
Dragon Communion incantations, which I find to be slightly more useful than the last, but again, still
Clawmark Seal is number 2 in his list.
Faith scaling of B, which is pretty good.
You don't know what he's talking about.
But this one will actually have an S rating for Arcane, so this one is going to be one that if you're doing a Faith and Arcane build, so maybe you're going hard on Faith and hard on bleed damage or something, so on your Uchigatana maybe you put a bleeding type ability that'll help it scale with Arcane.
Show you how to become a Dragon Lord that can deal a lot of damage to enemies in a short amount of time. If you want to put this build together and you want it to be even stronger than the first part of the showcase, I recommend sticking around for the entire video because I will give you all the info needed to make this even stronger. We have magic, we also have frost, we even have fire. We also have some holy damage, And the best one of them all, we have the ability to apply Scarlet Rot. So, welcome back to Elden Ring. Just very quickly before we do get into the build, if you are not currently subbed to the channel, make sure you do sub, turn notifications on. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, all support is greatly appreciated. And if you want to support me further as a creator, then check out the links in the description. And let's get into this one. So you are running dragon incantations. That's how you are going to buff everything related to dragons and become the ultimate dragon lord. You are going to need the Dragon Communion Seal in order to do this, and you can get this at the start of the game. The stats you are going to focus on are obviously your vigor to build your health up. You are going to focus on your mind so that you have a higher FP. You are then also going to focus on your faith, but not too much, just enough to run the incantations. And then primarily you are going to focus on your Arcane. Because if you take a look at the Dragon Communion Seal, it has an S tier scaling for Arcane, and this is what's going to boost your Dragon Communion incantations. So just get yourself enough faith so that you can use the incantations, put the rest into Arcane with some mind and vigor in there for a bigger health pool and also extra FP. You are going to run the armor that gives you the highest amount of poise. I know mine is only 21, but some of these do take quite a long time to cast. So what you need to do is build up your poise. I'll get it to try and get about 56. That is one of the soft caps, is going to allow you to basically not get knocked over from a fairly heavy hit. The armor is completely optional. If you wanted to, if you don't have that high Arcane, you can take down Mimic tier, and you can get the silver tier mask, which will give you an extra 8 Arcane. There are also talismans you can use to boost your Arcane. One of the examples I can give is Marika's Sword Seal. If I was to switch it out for another one, you see my Arcane, as well as my Faith, Intelligence and Mind, go down by 5. So Marika's Sword Seal I would highly recommend. Another talisman you can run is the Ritual Sword Talisman. It raises your attack power when your health is at maximum, and I never had that on the build, so I will go back and I will show you the damage difference from the start of the video with the showcase. I will show you how much extra damage you deal just by running this talisman. Then it's an absolute no-brainer. It's pretty much mandatory in this build. Flox Canvas Talisman. It greatly raises the potency of your incantations. Then if you are going to focus on the fire-breathing dragon incantation, put on Fire Scorpion Charm, I would basically run one of the Scorpion Charms that's going to raise the attack damage of the status effect you're wanting to apply. So that's Talisman's armor and the seal. In the Flask of Wondrous Physics, I am running the Flame Shrouding Craft here. You can change that for Holy, you can change it for Magic. Again, depends on which incantation you want to prioritize over the others. And then another no-brainer is Cerulean Hidden Tear, and that is because it's going to eliminate all of your FP consumption, and these dragon incantations use a lot of FP. That will then leave one item in the build, and you are going to want to use the Commander Standard. The reason you are going to want to use this is because it has a skill called Rallying Standard. Rallying Standard is going to increase the damage dealt by weapons and spells by a hefty 20%. It's also going to reduce the damage you take by 20%. So you can stay alive much longer if you use Rallying Standard. So if we take a look at a Gil's Flame and we use it standard against this enemy in gate front, we are going to deal 925 damage. If I then use a Rallying Standard and then I use a Gil's Flame, that 925 is going to go up to 1111. Then from the 1111, the one thing you are not going to want to do is use Golden Vow, because if we proc Rallying Standard, so we get that buff, then we use Golden Vow, if we then go and attack this enemy, instead of dealing 1111, we're going to deal 958. It brings the damage all the way down because Rallying Standard does not buff, it doesn't stack with Golden Vow. Golden Vow takes over and it's going to give you a nice damage increase, but Rallying Standard gives you a better percentage. So when it comes to dragon incantations, you are going to have to take down a lot of the dragons in the game. One of them will be in the Crumbling Baron Azula. He will be the Dragon Lord, and he's an absolute nightmare to take down. Can be incredibly hard. It's very, very late game. But the dragon incantations are totally worth the effort to get your hands on. So the dragon incantations I run are Placidusax's Ruin. This is going to be the golden breath of the Dragon Lord, and this is going to be the one that's based on holy damage. You will need a 36 faith to use this. So the max amount of faith you really want is about 36. You don't need to go any higher. These are going to scale much better on your arcane stat. However, moving into Rotten Breath, this will use a little bit of Arcane. The highest Arcane you will need is 15. And this is the one that's going to spew Scarlet Rot everywhere. And that is what's going to proc on an enemy and then deal ticking damage for 3 minutes. And this can be the difference between winning a boss fight and losing a boss fight. It's going to be much more beneficial against bosses because they have larger health pools, and it ticks based on a percentage of their HP. The next one is Smaragd's Glintstone Breath. This is going to be your magic-based dragon incantation, and this one is based on a higher arcane. Arcane is 15. It's also the same amount for Borealis's Mist and a Gil's Flame, whereas Rotten Breath is only 12, and Placidusax's Ruin is 0.
I'm getting tired of fucking waiting here. I know you guys are.
Is another one we're going to use because it's going to spew icy breath, so it will deal frostbite damage. It's going to be really, really good for dealing damage. So as I said, with a Gil's Flame, you'll find the dragon in a Gil Lake. Then with Borealis's Mist, you're going to have to come up to the Freezing Lake in the mountaintops of the Giants region. And basically, when you take down the dragons, you will get the dragon hearts. So you'll get the hearts of the dragons. And then in Caelid, you come down to the cathedral.
Yeah, forget that.
I kept seeing this shoe brand all over TikTok. It's called some incantations that we can get pretty early on into the game, talking about which ones I found to be really helpful, as well as where to get them. Before we start, if you find them really like, and check out our Elden Ring playlist, as we go over a lot of guides like this, breakdowns of mechanics in the game, and some tips and tricks to help you guys master Elden Ring. Alright, so there's two really important things that you really need to unlock first if you're going for a faith build. And those are more incantations and more memory slots, so you can have more incantations equipped, so you can use the right spell in the right situation. We'll be splitting up these incantations into several categories. First up is your ranged incantations. This is kind of like your bread and butter go-to spells, which honestly makes combat way easier. If all else fails and you're getting owned, stay at a distance and throw out those range attacks and you should be fine. The first one that you can easily pick up is called Flame Sling. If you're just starting off with the game, definitely pick this up, as this will be your first ranged spell. That's a decent cast time, and you can charge it up so the fireball gets bigger and it hits a larger AoE. I'd say the major downside of this is that one, the range isn't that far, and the speed is a bit low. So you kind of have to be pretty close to a target to make sure that your attack hits. Next up we have Black Flame. This is pretty much exactly like the fireball, but it does more damage and does damage over time after it hits. Also, the Black Flame also travels a little bit faster and has more range than the fireball. So once you unlock this, there's honestly no reason to go back for the fireball. Finally, the last one in a pretty close second, which most of the time I also have equipped, is the Lightning Spear. This has a super fast cast time, with its non-charged attack doing a pretty close damage to its charge attack. Because the cast time is pretty low, and the fact that it shoots in a straight line makes it perfect for really fast moving enemies. I'd say the damage isn't as much as the Black Flame, but still a really, really good option. All of these spells can be purchased from Brother Corin once you get the correct rating. So once you get access to the round table, definitely pick that up. Next, to get Black Flame, you will have to defeat Margaret the Fell Omen, just so you have access to this next area. So the place you want to go is...
Come on, someone put the fucking sign down, shit.
And so what you want to do is just follow this path that I'm taking. First, you want to jump off this roof over here and land right over here. Next, make sure to look down, so you fall on the right-hand side drop down one more floor, and you should see an entrance to the basement, which looks something like this. In the next room, you'll encounter some rats, so just take them out real quick, and you should see a door at the end of the hallway. The one requirement to get this is having a stone sword key. If you don't have a sword stone key, one of the vendors at the round table definitely sells it for pretty cheap, so pick it up if you don't have one. Next, just insert that key into the left-hand side at the statue over here, and the doorway will open. Now there's two chests that you can loot. Definitely do not forget to loot both of them. On the left-hand side, we'll find a God Slayer seal, and I highly recommend using this instead of the one that you start off with, as it does have a little bit better stats. Next, move to the chest on the right, and you'll find the God Skin Prayer Book. To unlock those spells, all you have to do is head back to Brother Corin. Instead of selecting study incantations, just give him the prayer book, and these spells should be unlocked to you. Now with the God Skin Prayer Book, you actually get two new incantations. One is that Black Flame we're talking about, and the other is the Black Flame Blade, which we'll talk about later. However, let's go over the second prayer book that we can get. For this, you have to travel all the way to Artist Shack right over here on the map. Really close by, you'll find this Gold Knight right over here, and all you have to do is kill him, and you should be able to go. Again, take it back to Brother Corin, give him the Dragon Cult Prayer Book, and you'll get Lightning Spear, and another one called Honed Bolt. By far, Lightning Spear is way better than Honed Bolt because of that really fast cast time, and it does straight up more damage. One benefit of using Honed Bolt is that it hones in on enemies. This is a lot easier to hit enemies, and frequently does not miss. But given that the Lightning Spear is pretty fast, I don't think the downside of a longer cast time is worth it. And so most of these are a single target ranged attack, but are some blind spots which you have to keep in mind. So to get this, you're going to have to go to Castle Morn Rampart right over here. Then you're going to head west right to my location. You'll find a cliff. If you get lost, all you have to do is head to the smaller Erd tree, and you'll find this cavern right over here. If you look down, you'll see one of those bugs rolling those balls. What you want to do is actually kill that bug, which will then drop the incantation. However, it is kind of annoying to get, as there's a ton of bats, and there's lightning raining down, so it might take a couple tries, but once you do have it, you should be able to equip it. Again, the cast time is pretty long, and the damage is decent, but the large AoE is really helpful. There are other AoE incantations. I've seen this flame run, but from the gameplay I've seen, it's really hard to hit, so personally I think this one's better. Another option to consider is Dragon Fire incantation. You can get this at the Church of Dragon Communion. It does require a dragon heart, and to catch fire is the really fast cast time, and the fact you can get a couple hits in against larger enemies. Plus, you will have to be really good at dodging. I think a better option is Black Flame Blade, which, just like Black Flame, does a lingering dot down.
So if you're currently using these, I'm going to need you to take a listen to this. The status between Pro earbuds
Around the same damage as a Visceral, so maybe with another weapon that's on it, which would be kind of crazy. This weapon does holy damage and fails off your faith, and it doesn't weigh anything, so you really could just have it equipped just in case you need it. The cool thing about this is you can actually dual wield it if you want, so you can get more damage. Next, I wanted to go over a couple of other incantations, which in some situations are pretty... This bush. Just follow the cliffside, and then you'll find a bronze. Just follow the cliffside, and then you'll find a bronze knight, which once you defeat, will drop this incantation. I found that instead of facing him head on, just go to the cliff above him, and just rain down some fireballs, and you should be able to kill him. Now using this is a little bit weird, as you have to be trying to get up all the way. If you don't, the range is pretty abysmal, and it stunts enemies for less time. I'd say another downside is this does not work against larger enemies like giants, so definitely don't try it. Need it. Next, let's go over the second most important thing about any faith build, and that's getting more memory slots, so you can hold more incantations, so you can switch to the right incantation for the right situation. You can get one right off the bat at the round table vendor. Just head all the way to the back to the Twin Maiden Husks, and they just straight up sell a memory stone, which will increase your memory slot by 1. Another one you can find at the converted tower right over here on the map, right on the path, and might be walking around the place, but shouldn't be hard to find. After that, again, climb all the way to the top of the tower, open that chest, and you'll find another memory stone.
primary source of damage seems to be underrated. People seem to think the actual powerful ones take too long to cast and you won't get them off, and all the other ones are just useless, or sorceries are just going to be a better option. Well, that's not really true, and for that reason I will today show you a very powerful build where we use incantations as our primary source of damage. And the best thing about this is that you can become very powerful and OP at the literal start of the game with the build that I'm going to show you. For our class, we're going to go with the Prophet this time. The points in Fate and Arcane that this class gives you at the start is in Pingrave, not too far away from here. Get your horse to make things faster and go to Stormhill Shack right here. And when you're there, pick up the stone sword key that you can loot from the body. Don't forget to talk to Ludwika 3 times to get the jellyfish summon, which is definitely a decent summon for the early game. The second stone sword key can be found in the Dragonburn runes right here. Pick that one up as well, and now you have done all the preparatory work to open the fog gate. Open the gate, and now you have to progress through this cave. And if you're doing this at the start of the game, like I'm doing, you'll probably die a few times before you get it down, and the enemies here will hurt you in fact. But basically, you will want to avoid the massive death machine that you probably have noticed by now, and just progress upwards until you see
we'll
this
give it
guy.
3 more
He, in
minutes,
fact, has the key to this build,
or 2.5, whatever.
Take him down 1 versus 1 with your starter stuff.
Excuse me, if we don't get a summon by then, we'll either go do something else or we'll end the video.
Outside the chamber and let him get ran over by that pain in the ass thing, which now, as you can see, actually has some kind of use to it. It's just too efficient to do it like that. And accordingly, loot Dragon Communion Seal. This seal is incredibly good and it's going to be our primary weapon. Our secondary weapon is thankfully nearby as well. You want to go to this spot on the map for it. When you arrive here, you will get invaded by Bloody Finger Nergus. Now again, since it's the start of the game, you might not be able to take him down, as he is just simply a lot higher in level than you. But just wait a bit, and the game will summon another guy that's going to help us. He will tank the fight for you, and meanwhile you can just spam Catch Flame or attack him with your spear. When you get him down, you will be rewarded with the Reduvia Dagger. This is a really powerful and fast attacking dagger that complements our build very well, and we will use it for the early to mid game. I will talk about these weapons a bit later in this video, and why we actually want to use them. But for now, we need to keep moving, because we're going to go to everybody's favorite region in the game, Galen. On the road, try to get 3 levels in Arcane till it's at 13. Now go back to, and you'll touch a lot of faces on the road, which is going to be very useful for later, and especially because there are several points of interest for us on this particular route. Eventually, when you complete the route, you will weapon with a bleed built in, and thankfully the Reduvia dagger that we picked up earlier has exactly that. As you can see, every few hits that you hit with the dagger, you will instantly see big numbers pop up on the screen. This is when your daggers bleed.
Okay, 1 more minute.
That, and eventually you will kill.
If we don't get a summon by then,
but not really that important in this case, you can get that anywhere.
I'll just end it here, and hopefully when we come back tomorrow,
our hair starts getting thinner and weaker. Or even worse,
when we come back tomorrow, we can take
that gives us a few not so great options like wigs.
Now when you think of incantations, and especially powerful incantations, you cannot miss the dragon incantations in your build. They are very powerful and overall deal the most damage out of any incantation in the game, even when you barely have any investments in your stats, which makes them such a good option. To that the seal that we picked up earlier, Skills of Arcane and Fate, but also boosts the already hard-hitting dragon incantations with a lot of extra damage. The seal also ultimately gets S tier scaling in Arcane, and thus gets even better and better. And definitely something you will want to pick up.
I wish I had known that, I wouldn't have gotten rid of it.
Fate to actually get the best damage out of Fate points into Arcane will make it pocket speed even faster. But it's also a very fast weapon that you can just use to kill enemies when you don't want to waste MP. Using these 2 weapons together,
Okay, we're over.
very powerful combination. So
Okay guys, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon for post notifications, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a nice night guys, and good afternoon, what's left of it, or your evening, whatever your case may be, and I will see you tomorrow. Don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell icon for post notifications, and I will see you tomorrow. Good night, guys. Have a good one. Enjoy.